Hey, beloved, this is Pastor Thomas, but I'm taking the pastor's hat off today. I want to speak to you from the heart and just let you know how I feel about the latest events that have happened in the community of people of color. So here's the deal. We're tired. We're tired. We're tired of repeated loss of life, people of color, and for reasons that are just inexplicable. How many unarmed people of color are we going to have to lose before we get some satisfaction? I think, beloved, we need to reevaluate our strategy. White racists are filled with so much hate that they've dehumanized a whole race of people. In fact, not only have they dehumanized us, but they have lowered our worth to less than that of an animal. White racists treat dogs with more compassion and care than a person of color. And in this rant, I'm going to tell you the facts. You can come up with your own conclusion. This is not an attack on any selfish, racist, ignorant, incompetent, childish, and lying individual. The president and his administration have labeled people coming to America as an infestation. That's what they call them, an infestation. And there's a reason for that term, beloved, because that term is used as a weapon. Because infestations are to be eliminated. And the immigrant problem is not considered an issue because issues can be fixed. By calling it an infestation, it turns it into something less than human. And like an insect infestation, it needs to be destroyed and wiped out. And it's the design of the hateful white racists to totally eliminate people of color. I truly believe that. And there's genuine hate and fear that they feel, and they feel that it justifies them killing us. And it's a constant reminder that the difference between us and them is still something that can cost us our lives. We're seen as a threat when we're just living. We're considered dangerous when we're grilling, driving, playing video games with our kids, eating ice cream in our own homes, bird watching, sitting in Starbucks, jogging. And when we do something that's a normal activity, it is not seen as normal by white racists. And the value of a person of color is approaching pre-slavery days. Now, some of you may think that's extreme, but here's why I say it. In the days of slavery, if you killed another man's slave, you would have to give his owner recompense. You'd have to pay for the value of that slave. And the slave had value for the work that they could do. And because of that, runaway slaves were almost always brought back alive. Disobedient slaves were not killed, they were captured and returned, and often with a reward. Now, people of color, just living, they're reported to the police. And disobedient people of color, they're killed. Don't get me wrong, this is not a recent phenomenon, it's just that now it's being recorded. And modern day lynchings and hangings are now videotaped and put on social media for everyone to see. And white people who don't consider themselves racist, they complain that black people weaponize racism, that we should stop making everything about race. Well, we're not making everything about race. We just living. And y'all calling the cops. And a small percentage of cops are either poorly trained or part of a racist group or just using a badge and a uniform to systematically kill us and cause us to live in constant fear. I don't even know a person of color who is not at least concerned about our sons and daughters, because unlike white folks, our children have to be super submissive and tolerant of disrespect, because they could be the next George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, the list goes on. And don't tell me that if they had been cooperative, they would have not been killed, because there's a measure of respect that meets the measure of culpability. Policeman's job is to protect and serve, and no one's life should be dependent on how a person paid to protect and serve feels that they can get away with it. We've got a reason to react to the death of these people the way that we do. But how about the thousands We react to the death, but how about the thousands that are just brutalized? They're not killed, they're just beat up. We supposed to be thankful that they're alive. They didn't get killed. And this is a phenomenon that's unique to living in black and brown skin. It's not transferable. There's not one person in the Trump administration who has come out and said a single word about this. Not one. And what does that say to the community of color? It says silence gives consent. You don't say anything about it, you must be okay with it. And to the racist clans and Nazi police officers, it says to them, you know what, we can get away with this. Now I'm about to take this left. Because as I said in the beginning, we're tired. I know I'm tired. And I remember in the 60s, Malcolm X gave a speech titled The Ballot or the Bullet. Well, beloved, I'm going to tell you, we tried the ballot. We had a black president for 8 years, and all that did was make white racists mad. Our young people were still getting killed even when Obama was president. And white cops and vigilantes like George Zimmerman were still getting off and not paying for their crimes. So the ballot worked in one area, but it failed to protect us. So perhaps the question is not the ballot or the bullet. Perhaps the question is, should it be the ballot and the bullet? And I'm recommending right now that all my brothers and sisters bear arms. It's your constitutional right. If you don't have a criminal record, you can go get a weapon. And they're killing us in multiple ways, and it's increasing in numbers. And at some point, we need to change our level of preparedness, because this thing where we are humble and submissive is not working. And if you think that in November, after Trump loses, if he loses, that his cult followers are just going to go home and cry in their beer, you're wrong. They're going to respond as the uncivilized, violent, ignorant, rabid dogs that they are. And we will need to protect ourselves. And we can't expect all of the police to protect and serve. Some of them are part of the problem. Now, this is not an attack on police as a whole. I got many friends who are police officers, and I respect them and what they do. I value them, and they deserve to be applauded for taking their lives in their hands every day. Brian McAdams, Roz Reed, I love y'all. I know y'all good people. But we can't act like there's not an undercurrent of bad cops that we can't trust. Can't act like there's not a fraction of the police who know they're violent racists living among us, and who at any moment with the opportunity are just a second away from killing a person of color and getting away with it. Beloved, today's person of color does not have the choice between the ballot and the bullet. We must use both. Our lives and the lives of our children depend upon it. So, vote, 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 vote. And be prepared to protect yourself. Hey, God bless. I'm going to put my pastor hat back on.